Hey everybody, so I saw Aquaman yesterday. I'll tell you what I think about it, and I think it's also a great opportunity to do a little commentary on how we review movies and how that differs from box office. Because Aquaman grossed over $1 billion, which is a great result, and that's more than Justice League and Wonder Woman, and actually more than a couple of Marvel's movies as well. Which, at least in terms of money, means that DC is starting to build an audience. It's doing pretty well in terms of finding its legs and producing profitable movies, because a lot of those movies cost a lot in terms of budget and marketing, so they have to start grossing at that level for them to be comfortable releasing a lot of them. And they should be celebrating. And I'm sure a lot of DC fans are celebrating too, and I'm happy for them. But at the same time, that's different from the way some of us may take in the movie itself, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Because when I watched the movie, I saw a lot of things that didn't work for me. It's smothered in CGI for one thing, and of course I did do a video talking about how a lot of CGI can really mess up the experience of watching a movie, because you spend more time appreciating the work of the artist instead of actually believing what you see and having your emotions get stimulated that way, which results in a kind of hollow experience. Likewise, a lot of little things like the hair and the makeup kind of threw me off. I thought that the wig or whatever they did with Mera's hair was kind of like Saturday Night Live. And I don't think we were able to form a real strong connection with Aquaman as a character. There's a lot of smirking and one-liners, which make the hero look good, but also don't let us feel a lot of tension or emotional attachment to what's going on. If the hero actually cares about what they're doing, if we see ourselves in the hero, then we'll have our own emotional confirmation tied up in what's going on. We'll feel a lot more risk in what we see. And I haven't had a chance to really talk about dialogue a lot in movies, but it was kind of on the nose. It told you things you already know, which is not good. And the music did a lot of the same thing. It was kind of obvious and trying to be cool, and that's not really the way you do cool music in movies. But that brings us to the interesting question, which is something I want to talk about, which is, how can I give a bad review of a movie that grossed $1 billion? And this is what makes movie reviews a lot of times kind of unsatisfying to hear, because there's no connection between what people are describing as good in the movie and the movie's success. And a lot of times people throw up their hands and they say, well, there's no accounting for taste, or as William Goldman said, nobody knows anything. For me at least, I want to feel like I know what's going on. And for this channel, I want to feel like I'm giving a good idea of what's actually going on. So if my theories, if what I say don't reflect what actually happens with the movie in terms of box office awards and reputation, then something's wrong. And this is the part where if it was a cooking show, you kind of reach under the desk and pull out the turkey that you already cooked to show the finished result. Besides, of course, the outside story, which we talk about here all the time, which is that different people have different emotional reactions to things. And the majority of the audience who went to see Aquaman does not share my emotional reaction. Because if you think about it, first of all, there's kids. Kids have different standards for believability when they watch a movie. They will accept a lot more, which is necessary because they have to believe what their parents say and go along with a lot of things before they can understand it. So if a movie has CGI or other things that may seem bad to adults, it's not a problem for the kids. So the kids decide what they like in a movie based on other things, such as whether it's visually appealing to them, whether they like the colors, whether it makes them feel excited but not scared, because kids get scared easily because they're small, which is understandable. Whether they either identify with the character if the character's their age, or if they like the character as a role model if the character's older than them. In which case the character can smirk through the whole movie and not care much about what's going on, because the kids will get scared sometimes if the character's scared. Likewise, there's women. Guys care a lot about the action scenes and other things, whereas a lot of times if the main character is a man, it matters whether the guy's attractive. And from what I've heard, women really like Jason Momoa. And he's shirtless and walking out of the water with all the water dripping off of him and all that. And of course that's not the only thing that makes a difference in how they take in the movie. There's also how the female characters are portrayed, the different themes, whether it deals with relationships and communities and other things like that women are often more interested in than men naturally. And Aquaman may do that better. It's kind of hard for me to judge that, to be honest with you. And likewise, foreign audiences are different too. I said a lot about the dialogue and how I thought the dialogue wasn't good. And I could say a whole lot more about it. I'm going to do a video about it at one point. But what difference does that make to you if you don't speak English? You're going to see the movie subtitled, in which case someone's going to essentially rewrite it, and you don't have to hear real people speak it in the first place. It kind of plays in your head like if you were reading a book. Or you're going to hear it dubbed over. And so if Aquaman had dialogue I didn't like, it doesn't matter. If it has great visual spectacle, which foreign audiences like more, it'll do well, and Aquaman obviously had a lot of that. And so, if you really want to understand what makes movies successful, it's not just about the fundamentals of the movie itself, it's not just about the outside story of the movie. You also have to have a good feel for how all these audiences take things in, which can be very, very difficult, and you have to know things like how it was marketed and how each of those individual countries judge things too. So I think that's a good bit of information about how we should use movie reviews. You have to look at someone who shares the demographic with your target audience. That's who your reviewer or your analyst has to be. And so, critics and reviews can be very useful, but we have to make sure that we find things that actually connect to either the success of the movie or our own personal reaction, and we don't just throw our hands up and give up if it doesn't. We always have to keep drilling and trying to find the real answers, because that's the way I think you find out what's actually going on in life. And we're going to keep trying to do that here. So thank you for listening. If you like the channel, please click the notification bell, and I'll be back soon. Bye.